I'm gonna be real with y'all. I was not expecting to make this video tonight at all because you want to talk about a collapse of epic proportions? The Cleveland Cavaliers displayed just that in the last 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. They were up by 20. They pretty much did almost everything you can ask from them in that third quarter. I mean, even in the first half, they were lucky to be only up 2 because they committed way more turnovers than they would have liked. But in that third quarter, you pretty much take control and grab a commanding lead around 14-point range. Now you're the one forcing New York to get all of these turnovers. You're pretty much neutralizing Karl Anthony Towns perfectly, almost perfectly. And perhaps the best thing that they've done until that historic choke comeback, however you want to put it, the best thing that they've done was neutralizing the Knicks hedging. One of the most elite things New York has done in this entire playoffs is sending 2 at the ball whenever a pick and roll is set on their defense. They've done it quite a few times on CJ McCollum, Jalen Brunson. Tyrese Maxey has seen that quite a few times, VJ Edgecombe. Even though you look at their personnel on paper and assume, it might be barbecue chicken with a Brunson and KAT, or just involving one of those two in the pick and roll scheme, New York had done a marvelous job countering that with their communication and hedging activity, and Cleveland constantly abused that. They pretty much pushed that aside because once they saw that hedging, all they had to do, whether it was Harden or Donovan Mitchell, but mostly Harden, was have a short roll or a slip screen, whichever the case may be, with either Dean Wade or Jarrett Allen, and just find whoever is open because New York's rotations weren't that great either. Just the threat of guys like Dean Wade, Sam Merrill, Max Strus. New York was freaking out about that. I mean, I've seen OG Anunoby be a little bit frantic with his jump timing or contest timing on Sam Merrill's jump shots a couple of times. Heck, you continued to do that in the fourth quarter, and that Dean Wade and 1-3 that Jordan Clarkson mistakenly committed, that seemed to be the dagger. What I'm trying to say is, you've done all of these factors so well. And this is with James Harden not really having the best shooting efficiency, which we'll definitely get to him later, but you silenced Madison Square Garden. I haven't heard that arena been that silent in a minute, in a long time. All you had to do was take care of business, but you didn't. You just like literally in 99% of these scenarios, I don't care if it's the playoffs or regular season, usually you should wrap things up, especially if you're a contender like the Cavs that are planning to win the title. Yet, we didn't see any of that. We see them kind of going away from their offensive strategy, and man, the biggest thing, the captain of the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, he was cooking. There's always been this criticism or conversation around the negatives of the overusage of Brunson. Why would they have to do that when they had this new offense that they're deploying with KAT being the hub, Brunson being off the ball a little bit more? Well, in these situations, this is why. He is one of the most clutch performers I've ever seen. Oh, and that's another factor that Cleveland had done well. They completely, for the most part, neutralized a lot of New York's off-ball movement when Karl Anthony Towns had the ball. For most of this game, they had James Harden, or it wasn't Max Strus or Dean Wade, I believe it was like Strus, Harden and Strus on KAT, so that they can put Mobley or Allen on Josh Hart and have them as a help defender. So that's another thing from this hot Knicks offense that you were able to shut down. Like seriously, just the amount of factors you did so well. This is the best defensive output you could have asked for, and it all goes to waste. When will you ever see the Knicks shoot that poorly from 3-point range? Ever again, pretty much. When will you see that? Hopefully one more time, but I'm only making 2 shots in the entire first half? And now you just let Jalen Brunson go for 38 points? And probably the biggest conundrum that I find in all of this, Kenny Atkinson decided it was a good idea to let James Harden on an island with Brunson by himself. You heard that right. Only late in the game, only when it was a little bit too late, did Cleveland decide to send a help defender. And yes, New York did make them pay with passes to Landry Shamet, what a bounce, and Bridges, what a shot. Crazy of a bomb as you can ask for, but regardless, the fact that it took you that long to send those types of traps at Brunson when Harden was the main defender, oh my god, that was so bad. That's such bad execution. And we gotta talk about the offense that pretty much culminated Cleveland's struggles. During that 7 minutes, they went away from that ball movement. They went away from the short pick and roll sets, and they kind of resorted back to the isolation ball. But that's not how you got there in the first place. That's not how you took this commanding lead. You know the shot that pretty much made me go, oh man, New York might actually come back? was an Evan Mobley. I don't know if it was a three-pointer or a long two, but it hit the side of the backboard even though he had Sam Merrill kind of open on the wing, but Mobley was in such a rush to hit that shot and it just hits the side. And in possessions just like that, trying to go one-on-one, mano-a-mano. Yeah, you took time off the clock, but guess what? Now New York is moving in transition because they're getting more stops. Now Jalen Brunson is able to get more in a groove and start getting the foul calls. And they constantly had so much of that, and I mean, part of that was due to Bridges' defensive pressure. My goodness, he was starting to ramp up now. I mean, this was one of his best two-way performances. Also, if you're Cleveland and you see that, why would you just stand still? I just don't get it, man. I just do not get it. Maybe I'm being no, I'm not being overdramatic actually. You choked a 20-point lead with 7 minutes left. It got so bad there was just one possession where James Harden got the ball and he was looking for Donovan Mitchell because Jalen Brunson was on Spider. But nothing really occurred. Jalen Brunson didn't. He had actually some nice defensive possessions late in the fourth quarter here, but he prevented Spider from getting open. And by that point, when Harden decided to go one-on-one with Mikhail, there was 6 seconds left on the clock. And then in that overtime, I want to say it was worse than the fourth quarter that we just saw, but it was still really, really bad. First off, my gripe with Cleveland, too many James Harden possessions. The amount of possessions he got should only be allowed if he's on a hot shooting night, or if he's dicing people up with his floor general IQ. We didn't really see much of this game. Like, New York didn't really allow much of that. The only time we saw the ball successfully moved out of Harden's hands was my aforementioned point of the slip screens or the short pick and roll. And even then, Harden didn't have much room at all. So the idea to constantly force him to rock, even though you have Donovan Mitchell, and that's the thing, I don't think I've seen 2 or 3 possessions where Donovan Mitchell had the ball. Coach Atkinson did not draw up any sets or yell out any orders to get Donovan Mitchell open. You know, he knows way more basketball than me, but I don't think it's too far off to say that some screens to get him open would have helped a lot here. Also, the shot selection that ended up from Cleveland, those are the shots that New York wants to give. There was one possession where Mobley shot a midi, kind of wide open mind you, and some might say, oh, that's an open shot. No, it's open because New York purposefully leaves it open. They rather have Mobley shoot an uncontested jumper than have Donovan Mitchell drive through the lane with ease. Same thing with another Evan Mobley possession. There's a lot of bad Evan Mobley possessions here where he was left wide open with a 3. The percentages or probability of that going down is much less likely than just giving Donovan Mitchell the rock and involving him in some pick and roll scenario like you just deployed in that third quarter, man. I just can't. And man, I gotta give Mike Brown a lot of praise here as well. This is the final note that I want to leave before I finish the video. Him sitting out Josh Hart did wonders. And I'm not saying Josh Hart was terrible or something, right? But it was clear that Cleveland did not respect him, and Josh Hart kind of proved them right with a couple of bad missed threes, putting in guys like Jose Alvarado, Jordan Clarkson, and last but not least, Landry Shamet. Dude, Landry Shamet was so huge. Just the spurts that he gave out with his defensive intensity and that 3-point bout, I still cannot give that enough love. But yeah, this final note of putting Landry Shamet in and replacing Josh Hart, I think this is what gives Coach Brown an advantage over Coach Tibbs, because had Coach Tibbs be retained, this type of game or victory might not have been had. Like, it's been said a bunch, he would resort to his main starters, sometimes Deuce McBride, and just thug it out, see how it goes. And no shade to Tibbs, it's not like this one aspect makes him such a bad coach, but Coach Brown, he didn't matter if it was in the fourth quarter, he saw that KAT and Hart were not really bringing the juice that they had hoped, so he goes pretty much deep into his bench, and guys like Jordan Clarkson and Landry Shamet had brought it. So yes, I think this is a really important takeaway to take in mind, and one that I believe can help elevate the Knicks to finally get closer and closer to that Larry O'Brien. I mean, this is a phenomenal start. 3 more till they win the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, that's my takeaway. This was just, oh my goodness, what a whole ordeal this was. Epic, I should say, as a neutral NBA fan. But yeah, I mean, I can imagine being a Cleveland fan in this situation. I would be heated. Because again, this was a collapse of epic proportions. Yeah, so epic that I just keep stuttering. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video, of this game. Let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you next time.